Hi everyone, John Aldridge here with Aldo Meets in conjunction with the Hotel Anfield. Already we've gone through a year and a half. This is the 16th episode, please.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so Paul Machin's here for the first time, having his debut from the Red Men TV. Peter Schriewersmann and one of my busy mates of the past, Craig Johnston. Cruggy!
All right, Aldo.
Great to have you, mate. It's absolutely great to have you here, along with some of the other greats that we've had over the last year or so. What's happening, mate? You're back in Liverpool, and I take it you look forward to it because you haven't been here for a while. What's happening with yourself? Tell us about what's happening with yourself.
Well, main thing is we came for the derby, the last ever derby at Goodison Park, and it got rained off. So all the way from Sydney to watch the game, because I like Goodison Park. I've got to say that. I always did. Always managed to score there at some stage against Everton, even when I was playing for Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
before I got to Liverpool, and funnily enough, I just always had a good feeling for Everton, right, and a good feeling for Liverpool the city and Liverpool the club.
You do get certain grounds which attracts you and makes you feel a bit comfortable. If that's, I think we've talked about that in the past, but you go in there and it makes you. I don't know. It does something to you.
Especially the ones that you've scored at a few times.
Absolutely.
Like Old Trafford.
The Camp Nou scored 6, Craig, so that was all right.
There you go. I rest my case.
No, that's I'll never forget that part of it. No, you look at what you won during your time at Liverpool, mate. How many European Cups?
Won one, lost one. Played in the Heysel disaster,
right.
which was a big thing.
FA Cups?
Won one, lost one.
League?
Won 5.
Oh.
Came second twice.
Charity Shields, about 6?
Something like that. 3, I think. 3, I think.
I might have missed one.
Milk Cups. There was Milk Cups.
Milk Cup?
Yeah, League Cups, whatever they were called at the time.
Yeah,
it was a glorious period with a glorious bunch of blokes in a glorious city. And actually, I'll say a glorious time because it was pre social media and pre a lot of the nonsense that the players and the club and personalities have to deal with now. There was none of that. It was just...
You had laughed at me.
It was much more honest and clear and crisp and clean and naive. It was naive. And there was something soulful about you were making it up as you were going along. Here's another word for you, right? Really interesting. There was very little professionalism. No. That's a fairly new term.
For 90 minutes there was.
No, that's a different thing.
Okay.
That was called putting in a shift.
Yeah, there wasn't an official name for
Hello,
it.
that's my point. Putting in a shift and working your nuts off, right, for your mates and for the town for 90 minutes. That was a given. So all that good stuff, that hard work and that heart and soul and that was all there, but there was none of this marketing bullshit around it. That's what I'm getting to.
Fair enough. And plus, Scousers love that, don't they? Like the hard graft and the authenticity. Because I always felt as a German, having settled here, Scousers smell bullshit a mile off, really. And they love hard work and authenticity.
Just from you though, Craig. Obviously, the way you kind of come up into the game is so interesting. It's so different. I mean, obviously, particularly because you come from another country, first and foremost. But how much of that hard work, is just central to who you were? Did you feel an extra, sort of need to go that extra mile because you'd had so many sort of setbacks in the early days?
Absolutely. And I'm still feeling it. I'm 64 years old and nothing's changed. Life is about hard work every single day.
Yeah.
Right? We're teaching our kids otherwise. These now players otherwise. Everything's hard work, and the older you get, the harder it is. But I also come from a very working class town called Newcastle in Australia, north of Sydney. All the whiz kids and the fancy dads and the show ponies, they're all in Sydney and Melbourne. But working class... Thanks for laughing.
They just don't have a sense of humour, Craig.
Well, the Germans aren't known for it.
You can rely on a German cars to identify a joke.
That's it. Jawohl. Anyway, what I was getting to is I think the world's gone off kilter in a way that marketing and sales and BS has overtaken heart and soul and character. And that's the joy of being in Liverpool in that era. And they say the era before us, Carnaby Street and the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and that in the mid-60s, they say that was even better than our era.
Yeah.
But we had something honest and pure.
Mm-hmm.
And hard work was actually at the core of it. And it was professional in its own way that we delivered time and time again, right, with the hard work and the results. And a lot of that's gone out. It's lost in this marketing BS, you know. And don't forget, you know, I was one of the original, what do you call them, foreigners.
Yeah,
So
you was actually.
I won't be offended if someone.
There wasn't many before you. Was
I
there?
know.
Have Coleman's just before you? Have he?
No,
Was he?
no. I
See,
was,
same time?
yeah, he came a little bit after I was here because I was at Middlesbrough for Liverpool.
That's right. I remember
So
that.
75, I was here, 15-year-old, and I was a legal immigrant at the time.
He wasn't.
I was. They sent me home. I was only 15. I was on my own from Australia, right? And my parents could only afford a one-way trip. And my whole story is I had a trial with Middlesbrough, and the famous Jack Charlton saw the trial at Middlesbrough. He was the manager there. We're getting beat 3-0 at half time, and he stormed into the dressing room and he had a go at everybody. He said, "You're rubbish. You're hopeless, useless." He got to me. He said, "And you?" He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Newcastle, Northern New South Wales, Australia." He said, "You are the worst footballer I've seen in my effing life," he said.
That's Jack.
I know
That's
that's
so motivation.
Right,
Oh, it doesn't miss his word,
Well,
Jack. Oh.
He said, "So I want you to F off." You know, I'll say hop it. He didn't say hop it.
You can swear on this podcast. It's fun.
Get back to hop it back to where you come from. So I said, "What now?" It was half time. It was a half-time team talk. "What now?" He said, Now. Packed my little bag up. By the way, much like now, this time of the year, the day before I'd been on the beach, and Nobby's Beach it's called, with all the girls and all the bikinis and all my mates. As a 15-year-old.
It was 5 degrees C at the time.
So next thing I know, 24, I'm jet lagged. I don't know where I'm coming or going. I'm 15, black and white television, no iPhones, no internet, no nothing, right? And my parents have sold their house to finance my trip. And Jack's delivered this little bit of good news at half time. I'm like, what the? So everybody's like, oh my goodness, you know, the rest of the players, you know, because at least they weren't getting there. So packed my bag out, right? And I went outside and it was snowing, right? And because it was half time, I'd been playing, and you were a trialist. Yeah. Right? Trialists were the most fiercest people you would ever come against in football because they were looking for a job. There was
point to prove,
500 kids there from Wales, Glasgow, London, you name it, all looking for 2 or 3 spots, all 16, 17, a little bit older, but a few my age, 15. But it was cutthroat, so I had blood all over my knees because they would...
You had another shower or nothing?
Not a shower. Right, I had Rasta kind of hair because I was a surfy dude, and I closed the door behind me, and it was snowing. I had blood on my knees. Right, parents have sold the house. I got my little soccer boots in my bag. Right, and the famous coach has said, "Worst player ever." Now what do I do? And that's my story. Now what do I do?
Is it true that you just started like training in the car park after that? You just refused to actually give up and decided to train even more?
It was kind of more subversive than that because he'd told me to F off, but I'd managed to negotiate behind his back at where the trialist stayed. And I said to the woman, her name was Nina Postgate, said, "Nina, if I clean the boots, if I clean the toilets and the bath, right, at the club, and if I do this during the day, then I can have 2 or 3 hours in the car park when the lads are training at Hutton Road, it was called, where Middlesbrough trained. When they're there, I can train in the car park." So I had 2 or 3 hours a day. The rest of the time was cleaning boots and cars, and because they all gave me a little bit of money. And there was a chap there that really helped me out. There was a few. One of them was the left full back for England in the '96 World Cup final, Terry Cooper. who was a lovely
great
man.
player.
A lovely man.
Leeds
So
manager.
he would give me some money. There was another guy called Stuart Bowman who was captain. Then the key in all the mix here, there was a wonderful player there who was captain at the time. His name was Graham Souness.
Okay.
So Graham was the captain, and he heard the story about the Charlton tongue lashing, right? And Graham's been around the world, and he stop laughing. Graham's been around the world, and he likes Australia. So he came up to me. He said, "Well, look, mate, I'll look after you. Clean the boots, clean the cars. We'll give you a few bob, enough money you can save up. You can get back to Australia." So Graham was the one that kind of took the lead and looked after me. He eventually got me out of the players' digs and into his own private digs, right, with a lady called Phoebe Haig, which was a few years later. So I might not be alive if it wasn't for some of those older footballers just saying, yeah, we've got to look after this kid.
We skipped a little bit of your story now, because you were actually born in South Africa. And as much as you told me earlier, you were Australian. So how did that all come about?
And it's part of the story. And that is my dad and my mum, they're both Australian. They live in Australia, our family, generations of Australia. Dad wanted to be a soccer player. And he went when he was 21, 22 over to Scotland to try and make it, and he failed. He failed miserably. So basically, he met Mum, who was going to England to be a school teacher on the boat over. So they landed in London, and then here's part of the story. Dad went up to Scotland to play. He failed, right? He came down to London, met with Mum. They got married, right? And he got Mum pregnant. They must have had some beers, and you get pregnant, older.
And there's different options available to become pregnant. But
listen to this. So Dad loved Fulham. So anyway, he took Mum to Fulham, and Mum was pregnant with me, and they stood on the terraces, and then Dad rubbed Mum on the belly. He said, "My boy's going to come back here and play one day." That's what he said on the terraces of Fulham.
Wow.
So anyway,
one day my lad's going to come here and get slaughtered by Jack Charlton. Incredible, isn't he?
So then, right? They had my sister in London, and on the boat, they'd already had my older sister. On the boat on the way home to Australia from London, they stopped to South Africa. And then for 6 years, and Dad played soccer in South Africa. Mum taught.
That's a long delay.
In Johannesburg, was it?
In Joburg, yeah. So that's where I was born, in Johannesburg. Oh, nice. And then at 6 years old, went back home, and that's when I started playing soccer in Australia when I was 6. But my parents, I'm Australian. Just happened to stop at South Africa and have some sex on the way home.
I think that already, after like 10 minutes into the podcast, you already win the most exciting CV of all the guests that we've had so far.
The Jack Charlton story, I can comprehend that, because I played for Jack for 10 years. He took no fucking shit, by the way. He was ruthless when he had to be, but I loved him.
Yeah.
I loved him. But I can just imagine. Shit. Honestly, it makes me laugh, because that's the way he was.
I know. And the funny thing is, he wasn't wrong. No, that's the point. That's the point, compared to the other trialists who were English kids.
To be fair to you, I'm not being funny. I know what it was when I signed for Newport County. I left work as a toolmaker on a Friday, and I went down to South Wales and played for Newport Reserves against, anyway, not a great team down there. And I thought I had the boots on the wrong fucking feet. I was that bad. I'm thinking, what the fuck? Because it was a shock leaving home for the first time and going there. So I can see where and that's only a couple of 100 miles, not where you had to go. So that must have been so different. You jet lagged, you're away from home, but you've actually gone on the pitch. All right, you played shite and all that, but that's not your fault.
But at 15 as well. Yeah. I mean, I just have to pick that up, and it goes totally off the tangent. But at 15,
what they say in Spain, Pete, is cojones grandes, big balls.
Oh no, I
That's what it's-
translated that without
I
speaking
didn't think you could speak
no.
Spanish. Because, you went to German school.
I
But
didn't
anyway,
think
that's
you spoke Spanish either.
Oh, sí.
But there-
Amigo, ¿cómo estás?
But no, on a serious note, at 15, at that time, Craig, you wouldn't have, obviously, as you said earlier about the technology available at the time. So it wasn't a case of, oh, mom or dad, I'm texting them on WhatsApp saying I feel a bit lonely. You are stuck in Middlesbrough, having come off like a really nice part of the world, get feedback delivered like that.
Yeah.
Like you are absolutely within your right to just crumble and basically try and find a way home. But instead, the perseverance you showed, and I like the point about consistency you made earlier, which is something I try to say that to people left, right, and center. It's not about bringing your A game one day a week. It's about doing it every day. And it's so hard because somebody achieves something today and think tomorrow, you know what? Take the foot off the gas, done my bit now for a week. And that's not good enough. You need to do it, not just footballers, I'm talking in life, at work, every day. It doesn't matter if you are a nurse like my mother was or whatever. And you seem
it's a story I know because I've had to tell it quite a lot, especially in Australia to kids, and I'm sick of telling the story. But it's not about sport, it's about life. As you're pointing out, it's about attitude. It's about, again, being against the odds. And as I keep saying, and you know Jack, and I know Jack, he was 100% right, because compared to all the other players, the Irish kids, the Welsh kids, the Londoners, they were beautifully cultured footballers at that age, because they'd done all that practice. And I hadn't, because I was a surfy kid, I was a skateboard kid, I loved soccer. But it was a fact and it was reality. So I was then in the survival mode, because I couldn't stay. I had to hide from Charlton, and I couldn't go back because I had no money whatsoever. 15, black and white television, as I said. So it's the kindness of other people that sort of got me through it, including Souness. He knows the story inside out. And when I do have to get in front of kids now, it's I survived because I was actually a good kid with a good attitude. And rather than be a victim, which you kind of pointed out, I just loved, what got me through is I loved how these other kids were playing, and at their age, even 14, 15, how beautiful and I was in love with that soccer ball. And you know, I held it up one night because the lady at the digs said, look, Charlton will kill me if he knows that you're around. There's an old coal shed out the back, right? But it had a heater on. What's it called? One of those. What's it called? Radiator. Had a radiator in there, and they'd furbished it a little bit, and but it was an old coal shed. So she said, you can go in there, but don't tell anybody you're in there. So I was in there, and all I had was a soccer ball, and I lifted it up, and I thought, well, you know, it was like the map of the world, and I was looking up here at freezing cold England, and how yesterday I was down there in beautiful hot Australia with all the guys and girls on the beaches, and now how the hell did I get here, and how the hell am I going to get home? It was a survival, and I was starving, right? And Nina would put a little bit of food under the door now and then, and there was beans on toast. It was actually nice. And again, maybe I'm making it out to be more dramatic than it was, but she would literally leave the beans.
Like a prison cell.
Yeah. Cheese on toast it was with beans on top. Anyway, the point being is the football is like a map of the world. It's a perfect object. Football doesn't make mistakes. The person using it makes the mistakes. And the more you use it, the less mistakes you make.
Apart from the Jabulani. The Jabulani football in World Cup.
Huge big story about the
Jabulani. Do that
Jabulani.
another day.
Do you know what? You're 100% right. I'll tell you that story.
No, we'll do that.
Why that messed up? Why Adidas messed up so big with the Jabulani? There's a reason for that, scientific reason. Do you know what
actually? Just jump into it now, Craig. Go on.
No.
This is exciting.
But you've got to tell people who's looking at what's the Jabulani.
So the South Africa World Cup, it's the official World Cup football of the South Africa World Cup in 2010.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they created this new ball to try and save costs, which was a pop-out ball, meaning it didn't have any stitching on it, and it was popped out so they could save money. So long story short, if you know football, you know how to swerve a ball, because there's a science on how a ball swerves. And actually, a football is called a complex tricosahedron, because that is the scientific name for the hexagons and the pentagons and the number of them that make up a perfect soccer ball. And by the way, a soccer ball's not round. It's only round when the pig's bladder blows up and pushes out that tricosahedron. So what they did is they took all that stitching out, but that stitching is what makes a soccer ball different from a beach ball. Have you ever kicked a beach ball, which you just blow up? So the soccer players, the best in the world, were saying this football is behaving like a beach ball. It's because it was a beach ball. And I was saying, you've taken the whole craft and art out of football, because the stitches, what the high and low pressure, why a ball swerves in the air is because as it's going forward, a football never accelerates. It's always decelerating from the moment it hits your foot, right? But if you create a spin, then one side is high pressure, wind, and one side's low pressure because the ball's spinning. That's why it goes like that, or it goes like that, you see. So they took that away because it's the stitches that create that luft, like an aeroplane wing. Aeroplane wing is like that. So the air pushes it up, and that's how Beckham swerves the ball. How many rotations in what space? So they took the stitches out of the Jabulani to try and save money, right? And they completely wrecked football. And that's why they had to change the ball halfway through.
It was a thing at the time because everyone was kicking off on this. Robert Green made a huge howl.
I kicked off about the vuvuzelas.
Well, the vuvuzelas were the most irritating part of that tournament.
Yeah. But couldn't hear anything else. But sorry,
but you officially complained.
No one in school getting a lesson. That's brilliant, that, mate. I used to hate school, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we know you did.
Yeah, well, I wrote a letter because I was one of the main people behind the Equestra ball, because I was at Adidas for a long time in Germany, and I was one of the ones that created the Equestra ball for the '94 World Cup in England. So again, I'd built a lab in Herzogenaurach,
in the US,
in Germany. No, in Germany.
Sorry, the World Cup.
Yeah, I built a lab and built an electronic leg to kick the ball, so you could take away the human element as part of the science. So that's where I knew and sort of uncovered the science of a soccer ball going through the air, because it's a science.
I feel like they're going in the teacher sort of pupil sort of thing that this is developing. I put my finger up. So hold on, at 15, which means you prematurely aborted your education, clearly, because at 15 you're supposed to be in school.
Yes.
You are effectively, dare I say, technically homeless around Middlesbrough, at least for a little stint.
Penniless,
and
homeless,
penniless,
skillless.
you
name it. But I was a good kid.
But you had a good kid with a good brain.
Yes, bingo.
Good brain.
Hello.
And you had something in you that kept you going.
A good attitude.
Hold on. Fast forward.
Top attitude.
So then we go into the football in a minute, no doubt, and how you got your second chance at Middlesbrough and all of that. But you ended up working for Adidas, working on something that's evidently quite technical. I mean, you lost John after 2 sentences. I could see just glazing, But how?
Yeah. Well,
my mind is blown.
When I explained to you about the football being a perfect object and doesn't make mistakes, ultimately, what the young Welsh kids and the Geordies and the Cockneys were doing, right, I figured out quickly, Graham Souness, what part of ball, foot, on what part of ball to what effect. So if you look at topspin, then you put like that. If you look at chipping a ball, it's the top of your foot. So it's like a table tennis bat. So there's a science behind all of that, and players know it instinctively. Beckham versus Greece in the World Cup, right? He probably couldn't tell you the math.
No,
thanks for laughing. He couldn't tell you the math, but he could do it because it's in his brain, because he actually must have knew where the wind was. But the Predators, right, they added so much more of the stuff I was looking for. Listen to this.
It's the grip, isn't it?
In the middle,
the grip.
The grip and the power and an increased sweet spot, right, which you increase the margin for error where you hit that ball, right, which is shaped to always be going away from you. Think about it. That's why we love it, because a footballer has a story. All the best women and men in the world, they have a story. Them and the ball. Some people like Lionel Messi, they have this beautiful story. Some people like you and me, it's not so good. Anyway, what I was getting to, right, the whole predator stuff and the science from it, I'd figured that out in the Middlesbrough car park because I was really good at school. I was a really good student. My mum's a teacher, always has been, a long family teacher. I loved science and maths. So I looked to the science of maths, and I created something in Middlesbrough car park called a mistake to attempt ratio. So if you've only got a ball and you've only got your feet, right, there's only 4 skills: control, pass, dribble, shoot. They're the 4 fundamental skills. It's the reading, writing, arithmetic of soccer right there. And left foot and right foot. If you can get faster and more accurate at those 4 skills, you will be a better footballer on a daily basis, and you can guarantee it. So that's what I practiced on the Middlesbrough car park. I drew targets and benchmarks to beat around those 4 skills. And every day, right, I started off 5 hours a day. I would have to hit certain targets, left foot, right foot. I drew them. And if I didn't, I'd start again. Maybe I'd be 7 hours. And one night I missed the beans on toast. So I got home, 7 hours, because I wasn't concentrating. And I missed dinner. And I starved all night. I was like, I'm not going to do that again. So the next day I did it in 5 hours. That was my mistake to attempt ratio with hitting a ball just on the ball. That was
your goal, your ambition of the day to get there.
How many times to get that? Yeah. How many times do you do it? How many times do you miss? Yeah. And if you miss, you've got to start again. Yeah. So then I was creating data without even knowing what I was doing, because all I wanted was the beans and toast with the cheese on the ham. That's all I wanted. So anyway, I tell you, survival worked. So I got better as a player on a daily basis because my speed and my accuracy, it's that simple. No coach will ever tell you this, because they'll tell you where to stand and what to expect. It's all bullshit, right? A lot of it.
It's good bullshit.
Anyway, some of it. A lot of it's bullshit, right? If you can be a better player on a daily basis, or better anything, because you're faster and more accurate, that's the hallelujah moment. Anyway, listen to this. So the 15-year-old, Charlton says, you're the worst player ever. And he was right. 2.5 years later, I was 17 years, 4 months, couple of weeks, 4 days and 6 hours. But who's counting? Right? Liverpool bought me. Right? And I was the most expensive player in British football history.
650 was it?
So from 15, £650,000. From 15, I made my debut, at 17 and a half for Middlesbrough.
How did you get your second chance on that?
That's it.
I'm just gonna put it in the timeline just so you know. So 2.5 years later, the youngest player ever to play for Middlesbrough in a match.
Yeah. Okay.
And then another 2.5 years after that, Liverpool bought me. So in 5 years, from being the worst player ever, actually, factually, to being the most expensive player that Liverpool ever got bought. So something remarkable happened in that Middlesbrough car park. And that's what I'm saying. It was all to do with the science and the maths and the love of the ball and the love of cheese on toast with baked beans on top and not missing out.
I get all that.
The fear of missing out.
Fascinating, but it's great. That's brilliant.
That's it.
And
that's
then
the
who gave you that second chance? How did that? Just let's focus on that.
Well, Jack Charlton went to another club, Sheffield Wednesday, and a new manager came in, a little guy from Wales called John Neal.
Oh, nice fella, John, yeah.
He was a lovely man, lovely man. I remember the morning he drove in, I must have been, 16 and a half, maybe 17. And he came into the car park, and I wasn't expecting someone I didn't know parking their car. So like that, he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I don't know. Who are you?" He said, "Oh, well, my name's John Neal. I'm the new manager." I said, I'm not supposed to be here." So he's gone in the dressing room and said, "Who's the bloke?" They said, "Oh, that's the kangaroo in the car park." Right, to some of the lads. And he said, well, is he any good? And they said, no, he's shit. So that was my introduction to the new manager.
He was a lovely man, by the way.
So naturally, he gave you a chance. Yeah.
He gave me a chance,
Nice.
only because there was a lot of illness at the club one season. And there was a whole virus went through, so they couldn't field a whole youth. So someone said, what about the kangaroo in the car park? And they said, well, he's crap, and they said, well, let's take him along just in case. So anyway, someone got injured, and then I got on the field because somebody got injured. And I played well because I'd spent all this time in the car park.
But it's ridiculous when you think about that being possible. Like, imagine someone stood outside Anfield today and they're just a kid and they're kicking about, and then Arne Slot goes, we're a bit short. You know what I mean? Liverpool have had that over the recent seasons, a centre-back shortage. Oh, there's this kid just dribbling around some bins in the car park. Can he play? Yeah, it's incredible that was even possible. But it's like that 2-year period from 15 to 17.
Yes.
All of a sudden you're playing football, and you're in. I mean, you made your debut against Everton as well.
But what's the currency of the game? I am missing a little bit of the story because I was trying to get on quickly. But apart from doing that stuff, at Ayresome Park Road, there was a bunch of scruffy street kids, right, Middlesbrough kids, that would play soccer every day. So I would play with them because I wasn't allowed to go to train. I would join in. So I learned how to elbow people and, not get hurt or the street smart. I learned the game with them.
So were you still living in this barn at the time, whatever it was?
No, it wasn't a barn. It was
Still in your shed.
It was an old coal
jail.
shed. And no, it kind of was a
Solitary confinement.
But that's all.
How long was you actually living in that with the lady?
In the
Before
with
you
me,
moved on to that's a
it
thing.
was about a month. But
Okay.
then this was at proper digs, like a
Yeah,
hostel.
no, yeah.
So
okay.
she moved me out of the digs when a room became available, as long as Jack Charlton, and there was a guy
Didn't get
called
to know.
Harold Shepardson, famous guy.
Yeah.
Harold Shepardson.
Yeah.
He was in the mix. As long as Shep and Charlton didn't know, because I was doing jobs for everyone, so they kept it all quiet. So again, kept it quiet. And then I'd do my soccer homework. That's what it was. But then I'd get my street smarts off the street kids. So again, there's a famous play. There's a famous time when I actually made my debut for Middlesbrough against Everton. I played really well. The headline in the newspaper: Jack Charlton. I always knew the kangaroo. I always knew the kangaroo would be there.
That's Jack Charlton for you, Jack. We know what
Anyway, so part of the picture was we beat Everton. It was the FA Cup actually, and then I was kind of mobbed afterwards after I scored and came off at the end. But it wasn't my Middlesbrough teammates that mobbed me. You know who it was? The scruffy street kids from Middlesbrough, Ayresome Park Road.
No,
They were all over me. They were there.
So that's a great note to end the first part of the Aldo Meets podcast with Craig Johnston, Paul Machin and Peter Schriewersmann. Be back in a sec.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me tell you the story of a poor boy. He was sent far away from his home to fight for his king and his country, and also the old folks back home. So they put him in a Highland division, sent him up to a far foreign land.
Hello, welcome to part 2 of the Aldo Meets podcast with Craig Johnston, Paul Machin, myself, and Peter Schriewersmann. I'm good at that now, man.
Yeah, not bad.
Craig, you joined Liverpool shortly after they won the European Cup yet again against Real Madrid. Dressing room full of, I know because the dressing room full of big personalities. When I went into the dressing room for the first time and you were there, like you were my heroes, these lads, and I was shit scared. I really was. And I don't, nothing scares me, but that fucking scared me, by the way. But you're going in with just as big a personalities, wasn't you?
Yeah. Well, I actually joined just before the European Cup final, but I was injured, so I went on the trip But when you talk about meeting your kind of heroes, it was none of the players, funnily enough. But I was at Le Méridien, just on the top of the Étoile there in Paris, before the game, and both Madrid supporters were there and Liverpool supporters were there, all milling around. You know, the pre-match sort of nerves and all of that. And then a tiny little bloke walked in with white hair, an overcoat on, and he just walked in, and the foyer was all milling with people. Anyway, someone spotted him, and it went quiet, right? And the whole place went quiet because somebody amazing had just entered the room. Anyway, it was Bill Shankly.
All right.
So shivers down your back. And he walked, and everybody stopped what they were doing, drinking. You know, the kerfuffle of noise when people are drinking beer and stuff. And it's like almost like Moses, you know, when the sea parted, and the crowd just came back, and he was muttering under his breath. And you know what he was saying? Typical Shank stuff. Aye, it's going to be a good match tonight. Nice and brisk. There's a bit of moisture in the air. It's going to be skipping through like this. So he just stopped. He started talking to everybody. And everybody was hanging on every single word, right? And it was, and I thought, oh my goodness, you know, this is just, I've never seen anything like this before. That was my introduction to the whole of the Liverpool culture. And anyway, somebody put a beer in Shanks's hand, and he just turned and left, and then the noise started again. You know, it was quite remarkable. That was my memory from it.
Well,
and then Barney Rubble, of course, scoring the goal.
Yeah. It was a cross.
Across, yeah. There you go. There you go.
But obviously, that's your first introduction to a European Cup final as a Liverpool player, if not on the pitch. It comes around again 3 years later, Rome, 84, you're in the team for this one. Is that, I mean, obviously you've got 5 league titles under your belt as well, but that is a moment. I mean, that for me is growing up. I mean, my dad used to put that on. You get an old VHS tape and he'd put it on and go sit down and watch this, mainly for Brucey's spaghetti legs stuff, to be honest. But like, is that the pinnacle for you in terms of your football?
The league's and bread and butter, and I get that. Shanks always said that, and Bob and Joe, bread and butter. But for me, being a Liverpool fan all the years I have been lucky to be from the mid-60s, European Cups, six of them. And I'm telling you, it's just, you're saying about goosebumps and all that. They've been the best nights because the league's over, and I know I get all that, but it's so special, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is, and everything you said is 100% right. But what you were getting to this night, we were away against Roma in Rome at the Stadio Olimpico. And there was a bit of tinge of history. It was like the gladiators.
That's right, yeah.
You know, but we were in the lion's den, right? And for whatever bizarre reason, it was a calendar reason. It wasn't a bizarre, it was a calendar reason. We'd had like 2, nearly 3 weeks of no games and no training. So we actually went to Israel on a bit of a Majorca kind of holiday.
I went to one of them, which is at one time. I know what it's like. Yeah.
So we were 3 or 4 to 1 against winning this night, and there's a couple of famous stories attached to this. I'm not going to tell you now because we're short on time, but one of them was the Chris Rea song. I don't know what it is, but I love it, and everybody relates to that. But
a lot of people don't know about that. I don't think Alan made a point of it, but just tell the lads when we were going out with the Roma team. You know, the lines then, and you know, they're walking out at the same time. So you tell a story. I think was it Nearly started it?
No, it was actually
me. It was your mate, wasn't it, Chris Rea?
Yeah, Chris Rea was a friend of mine because I came from Middlesbrough. Yeah. But also Davey Hodgson as well was in the dressing room at the time. Right, yeah. So basically, we were odds on to lose this game, this final, in the Lions' Den. And Ronnie Moran, the first time I've ever seen him with a bit of a sweat on his face, you know, what are we going to do? So anyway, I was the music guy on the bus, and wherever I'd put the music on. So we discovered Chris Rea, and this one song, I don't know what it is, but I love it. So the Italians had been high altitude training up in the Alps, you know, to get their fitness peaks right. No alcohol, no nothing. We'd been in Israel on the beer, right, fighting and drinking and carrying on like I'll say the word, English hooligans. right, which the Italians were scared shitless of. Right. So now we're 3-1 to lose, and we've got to walk past this big, long, complete concrete tunnel from the back end of where the dressing room is to the pitch, and we had to go past their room.
It's about 50 yards.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to have to stand up to do this very quickly. So everybody's really super nervous, and we've looked at Ronnie Moran, he's shaking his head like it's the first time ever. So all of a sudden, steel studs on the concrete floor. Everything's concrete and small and pokey, right? So Davey Hodgson starts like this. So I stood next to him, and I started like this and said, and then the Chris Rea thing, and I don't know what it is, but I love it. I don't know what it is, but I wanted to stay. And then 3 or 4 blokes, including Graham Souness, got up. Sammy Lee, I don't know what it is, but I love it. I don't. And we were talking about the crack and the fun we'd had as blokes in Israel, trying to kill time for 2 weeks. You know, what do you do when you're full of testosterone and you got the big game? You drink beer and you bond. Yeah. And that's what it was. So now we're marching past the Italian dressing room, and they go, what the hell is this? You know, and we're singing the song, but the steel studs on the concrete amplified, right? And we all believe that's what changed the odds from 3-1 to against, and why we won it. And then,
psychology.
Right, you mentioned the Bruce Grobbly wobbly legs. 100%. Who does that stuff? If you haven't just been, you know, drinking for 2 weeks and carrying on like a pork chop, you know. So anyway, that's the story. I've tried to do it as briefly as possible.
No, but that would have a bearing. You know, when you're going out and you're full of, you know, you're adrenaline and everything, you go and you think that just it brings you together, and it's you're making a statement to them like we're not scared, we're ready for you in many ways.
Wonderful. At the same time, you're so right. At the same time,
you're still shitting yourself.
Yes, you are. Of course you are. But you're an Italian. You're sitting there. You've done all the right thing for 2 weeks with the right food, no alcohol. You know, pretend you're like your mates up in the Alps, the Swiss Alps. Right, then you've got these English hooligans shouting and screaming like this was a war cry. I mean, believe me, but you've got the likes of Souness. Remember the Istanbul flag? Yeah. You've got that walking past your dressing room, screaming and shouting. You're on fire and you want war. You want war.
I love that it's like the Scouse hacker, the singer, Chris Rea. Scouse hacker. Just one last question on that because Steve Nicol comes on for you and misses the first penalty. Would you have taken the first pen if you'd stayed on the pitch?
Yeah. Probably.
Did you ever take a pen?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
But I think you would.
I'm
looking over the players available.
Yeah, it would have been interesting that. Let's move things forward, guys, because obviously you actually played together at Liverpool in one of the great Liverpool sides. Aldo, kick it off. You come into that team.
Well, you know, you're so fortunate the time and for me to come in, you know, and to be fair, what we were talking about before, they're getting into the dressing room and, you know, as soon as I come in, the lads are all taking the piss out of me. I'm a Garston Scally, you know what I mean? You know, playing for Republic of Ireland and all that. And they tried to catch you out, they tried to get you and all that. But I wasn't bad at handling myself with the lads because you've got to make, like, especially Jockey, everyone was scared of Jockey because he was like a manager within the room, wasn't he? You know, and Jockey would give you loads of stick and all that and wind you up and see how you react. You know, it's all a big test. Mm-hmm. But it makes you bigger, better. You know, it gives you a nice arrogance when you get with these lads and you look around before the game and, you know, I'm looking at Kruggy's there and I'm looking at Jockey and you're looking at Bruce and you're looking at these great players and you're going, oh, mate, I've got a chance here, by the way. And then Barnesy come and Peter come and Ray come, the squad we had was, it was just scary.
I'd love to know what your reaction was to Aldo coming in.
Yeah, once again, all those... So right, all of those stuff there. This dressing room was brutal. I mean, it was brutal. You're laughing.
It was every day in training, wasn't it?
If you made one little mistake with your English or your verbiage or your if you said something that wasn't true, which Bruce did a lot, by the way. Bruce was the loveliest, it still is, the loveliest man in the history of the world. He's got this thing inside of him where he really wants to be liked, and good on him. I was a room partner for 9 glorious years. And, mate, just as a side note, if Bruce was dealing with Malaysian bookmakers or anything like that in the background making phone calls, I'd know about it. Never did any of that stuff happen. He got stitched up on that whole thing. Yeah. So anyway, we all loved Bruce, and he was a fundamental part of the dressing room, because when you got these clever clogs, Scotsman, which now we look back, clever Jockey, Kenny, Graham, right, are all piss taking big time, right? As long as it was someone else.
Oh yeah,
Imagine when you tried to take the piss out, it went down like a flat balloon. right. So Aldo's right. It was brutal. So you had to watch every second, and they had their own little gang. There was kind of 2 gangs: the Southport gang, and the rest of us.
There was actually, a little bit,
a
little bit went on there,
And then even well, it did. In fact, I created a name for the other gang because I was in there. For some reason, I was always one that got dropped. And it was always funny to them that I was dropped. But it wasn't funny to me. This was my livelihood. This was Jack Charlton, leaving home.
Reincarnated.
Oh, mate. So I was spewing when I get dropped. I'd go over the top. But anyway, so the other group, so the Southport
Mafia.
Yeah, bingo. And I created on this side of the world. Right, I lived at West Derby, and then there was Heswell Way, Parkgate.
Walton, there was us, wasn't he?
That's right. That's right. There was a few of us. Bruce was over here. Samuel was over. Anyway, I called it the SGG, and what the SGG was the Sour Grapes Gang. Anyway, so
I remember now.
Thanks for laughing again. He's good, this bloke, isn't he? Thanks for laughing. So clearly the match would be on a Saturday, and everybody would be playing against Man United, all the Southport gang. But then the SGG was sitting on the bench. We'd have to come in on a Sunday morning training, in the freezing cold. They'd been to the match. They'd had dinner with their wives. They'd drunk beer, fantastic. And we're like, we're spewing, and we're in on a Sunday morning. And then we'd have a few beers, and then we get sort of political. We'd start to hammer them, and we became the victims in the dressing room. And so we all decided we can't be victims. Anyway, so there was always a lovely sort of
love-hate.
Yeah, in the dressing room, but it always manifests itself in positivity and better results. Right, and a perfect example of this, right?
It's the competition. The competition we have for places
was fierce. So listen, if there's 3 or 4 or 5 of these really good players playing for us, but then there's 3 or 4 or 5 of us make-up players, right? And we're winning everything. But if those 3 or 4 go up and play for Scotland and they win nothing. Just a little way of thinking about this, Aldo, right? So you go up there and you win very little games, right? Or championships or anything. But then you come back and you've got a group of players, the SGG, that you wrap around. It's like the SSS, what's it called?
Don't mention the war, Craig. Don't mention the war.
Anyway, you see how undiplomatic I am at times. It doesn't matter because I don't live here, so I can shoot off on the next one.
We still have to drive into town together.
All right.
So that's going to be awkward,
Anyway,
I just turn the music up.
I am officially on this what do you call Aldonomics? Do you call it? This podcast, what's it called?
It's called the bollocks.
The bollocks. Okay, I'm officially on the bollocks, saying there was more to this Liverpool story in the day than just the Southport gang. The SGG played a very powerful role in supporting the big bollocks.
The Southport lads, especially when Glenn Hussein came and all that. They used to have a few on a Thursday. Now, we used to go out. Obviously, we knew when to go out. We were very professional. We really were. But we were, honestly. After the game, if there's a game on a Saturday, you're out Saturday. Sunday, you go out. Monday, no. Tuesday, no. Game Wednesday, you might have a few after the game. That's it. Thursday, no. Friday, no. Play Saturday. But the Southport gang used to have a little few tipsies on a Thursday after training. Then we found out, I won't mention the names, but you know who you are.
I'm not sure they are watching those Saturday,
they weren't getting pissed. And there's no harm in a few pints now and again, but you just put petrol into the car, aren't you?
Yeah. So we have to mention it. Probably one of the most standout, famous Liverpool things about unity, players being together. The Anfield rap.
Yeah.
Transcended time, one of the most famous club songs of all time.
You know what? We got to semi-final, and I'm like, I always remember when he's trained. Before training, we went for a walk, and Craig's saying, I've got this song, it's in my head. We're going to get the final, and it's going to be the boss, it's going to be brilliant, and all that. And we're going, fuck off, Craig. And next minute, we beat Forest 2-1. At Hillsborough, and then next minute he's on the case and on training and all that, and he's coming out with all these things in training. It's going to be this, and we're all listening, we're all intrigued because next minute he gets a place. I always remember. He can go on after this, Craig, but I always remember we went to Lark Lane. There was a studios in Lark Lane, so Craig said, "Come to the studio." A day off we had, or after training. So we get there, all the lads, like, you know what I mean, and a couple of beers. We're going all in these shell suit tracksuits and free stuff. We sorted loads of Adidas free stuff out for us. We had loads of
Hummel it was.
Hummel, sorry, yes, Hummel. So we got all this, and the next, we got a rapper came, famous rapper called, I think it was Derek B.
That was him.
Yeah, Derek B. So the next minute, we're all there and we're all doing our little bit. All right, so Aldo sound is a pound, I'm good. And the next minute we're going through. And Derek B went, lads, that's shite. He said, go. After it's about after an hour, he said, there's a pub down there, go and have a few beers and come back. So we went, like, so we all went to this pub just down the road, and we had a few beers. We went back and we knocked it off. We knocked it off straight away, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was a great day, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, it was.
But you can take it on from there, how it came about.
Well, it's a funny thing. We've talked about it. There was this remarkable team spirit in the dressing room. And I'm an Australian. And again, as an observation from the back, you've got this dressing room and there's all these different accents. The most powerful one being the Scouse accent and the Scouse culture that we're all in, Scouse Town. Mm. So I love the fact that you've got him and Steve McMahon walking down the road, and they're talking to each other, right? And the way they're talking is like only mates can. But then in the background, you've got a Danish bloke, you've got a Zimbabwean, you've got an Australian, you've got some Scotsmen. What gang did we call them again? The Southport gang, the Southport connection. So you got them.
The Southport Mafia.
The Southport Mafia. There you go. You got that, right? And I thought, this is why we're so successful, because we all get on. So the whole idea was Aldo and Steve McMahon walking down the street saying, all right, Aldo, sound is a pound. I'm custy la, but there's nothing down. Yeah. The rest of the lads ain't got it sussed. We'll have to learn them to talk like us. Walk on with hope in your heart. And that
Barnsley comes in.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing. So as we go through it, but I reached out to, I loved Run DMC at the time. I love my music from day one. Run DMC at the time. So this was all in America. There was no rap in England at all. There was no rap. Yeah. One guy had done something. His name was Derek B. So I reached out to him, said, look, I want to do a cup final song, but not a, stupid one like they usually do. Soppy kind of. Diamond Lights, remember that? Chrissy Waddle and shocker. Anyway, and don't forget, none of the lads can
wasn't
sing.
The best.
Yeah, none of the lads can sing either. That's the point. Yeah. So it had to be a rap. So he said, yeah. So the whole thing, and the Scottish guys, they said, we're Highland lads, the new. There's 4 of us and only 2 of you. Yes, so if you want any trouble and you don't want a slap, you'd better teach us the Anfield rap. So it goes on and on like that. And everybody plays their little part. And
the We actually got to number 3. I think
There
it was
you
3,
go.
wasn't it? In the parade,
Yeah.
you know. But
RAS, we're great hearing you, but the other lads don't
talk
talk like we do.
Don't they
No, they
talk
don't.
like we do.
Do they don't laugh? We'll have to learn them to talk proper. Walk on. Walk on. Yeah.
I think on that note, we'll have to end part 2 because it's absolutely brilliant. Oh, Craig, that's
man.
class, mate. That's class.
Brilliant.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me tell you the story of a poor boy. He was sent far away from his home to fight for his king and his country, and also the old folks back home. So they put him in a Highland division, sent him out to a far foreign land.
Right, lads, final part of Aldo Meets podcast with my 3 mates here. I won't tell you that because I've told you that before.
He's bored of saying Peter's surname. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Peter Schriewersmann. I've called him Peter Schmeichel, Peter Shithouse. I've called him all sorts of things.
I deserve shit out of occasion. There we go.
So, yeah, where are we now? So, the Liverpool days, you know, I think, you know, because this is all linked synonymously with Liverpool Football Club. Tell us what you achieved during your Liverpool, your appearances, your goals, your cups, give us, throw it out now and let everyone know, mate, how well you did for us.
Well, you've mentioned names like Souness, Dalglish, Hansen. I had a similar experience to you exactly. And I was sitting at Goodison Park one day, pre-match, and same thought, exactly as you had. I was nervous about going out to Goodison because they were a good team at the time. I think second best in England at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Reid was in charge and Sharpie was up there. They're just great team, and no love loss. And I was nervous. And then I thought, well, if I was sitting in the Everton dressing room, you know, I thought, well, Souness is next to me, you know, Dalglish is ahead of me, Rushy, Hansen Lawrence at the back. Same as you said, I said, my goodness, why am I nervous? I should be loving this. But I was nervous. And I think if you carry that whole thing with you across the whole spectrum of the 9 years I was there, it just got better. And again,
Gives you big belief as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. And see, the interesting thing, I'm from the other side of the world and I'm different. You know, I'm different. Everybody knows it. My brain just thinks differently. And I could see the cultural issues. I could see the cliques. I could see the funny side of the funny side. And I you know, sort of a sensitive soul as well. So I saw the hard work in the background, and I hated being dropped. So as much, I call it triumph, tragedy, legacy, while I was at Liverpool. I've yet to leave a legacy, but I want to. But the triumph was there, but the tragedy was there for me as well. And getting dropped, mate, that was a tragedy for me because now I wasn't good enough to be in the team. So, you know how I took that? I took that as being, well, I mustn't be good enough to be in the team. Because if I had taken it any other way, it would have completely eaten me apart. So listen, I did something remarkable halfway through this, as did a mate of yours, Steve McMahon. He's still a mate of yours?
Yeah.
Macca had a transformation as I did. Anyway, long story short, I used to describe myself as the worst player in the world's best team. Thanks for laughing. Because that's the only way I could grapple with the fact that I was the one that kept getting dropped. Years later, I probably know because my face didn't fit and because I wasn't in the right gang.
It's called realism.
Well, it's other people.
Being hard on yourself.
No. But that was how to solve the problem. So I tell you what I did. I thought, okay, Kenny Dalglish, Joe Fagan, Bob Paisley, whoever you are, you know, you're not picking me. So you must be right, like Jack Charlton. So I got a key cut and I went back to Melwood of an afternoon. So you'd go to training, you'd go back to Anfield, you'd have your dinner. I'd go home, then I'd go back to Melwood. And I'd put my boots on and my kit and I'd run around Melwood, right? There was concrete slabs, 570 of them. So I'd run around this way, clockwise, 570 kicks with my left foot only and controls. Then I go the other way, 500 the other way, right foot only. Because I was getting back to the Middlesbrough car park conference. Anyway, I got back in the team, started playing really, really well. I really think that I was a critical part, a little bit like Luis Suarez, right? I could never, ever play like Luis Suarez and have his skill. But when you start biting people because you want the ball so much, right, then you've got something that nobody else has got.
For that.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, I had that in me, but I didn't have these teeth like his. But what I had was a determination to get that ball off the opposition and give it to someone that could play, like Kenny, and then run and give him an option going forward. So I do still call myself the worst player in the world's best team, right? But I know that my contribution was energy and effort and a good sense of discipline, behaviour and team spirit, because I believe Luis Suarez lifted the team when he was here by 3 or 4%. But I believe my running around like a headless chicken, which is my nickname, right? That was from Stan Bourman, by the way. Stan Bourman was a very good man of mine. He still calls me headless to this day, by the way. A dear, lovely friend of mine, Stan. But I'll put myself down when need be. Yeah. But then you actually got to say, hey, the SGG, if it wasn't for the SGG, the Mafia in Southport wouldn't have got the victories that they got, right?
But you pick up from that when you put a shift in, and we could say players now and players and that, and you know when people put a shift in, like Crookie put a shift in, by the way, and we had to defend from the front, but that spreads in the team.
Yes, it does.
It spreads into the team. I was lucky enough playing some great teams along the way. But then you've got to set the example from the front and chase the goalie down, chase him.
And Russia did it. Russia did it.
Just breathe off it, you know.
But they get cues from the rest of us.
We went through with the medals you won, the cups you won. Yeah. You've been brilliant for Liverpool, Craig. Absolutely. And you still indeed massively in this city, in this club, pal. Yeah, well, take it from me.
Thank you.
And the good thing is, the difference between you and Luis Suarez is you had a taste for beans on toast as opposed to human flesh. So that might have been the difference there. I think the last thing that we have to mention, because it would be stupid of us not to mention, because probably the thing you're almost most famous for now, which is crazy for a man who's won 5 leagues and a European Cup for Liverpool, but it's the Predator. You know, you've had a number of inventions that have followed, but that's the one I think that's followed you round the most over the years as well. Yeah. There was a documentary made. Yeah. You got some of the best players on the planet to kick a ball in these boots. Is that the thing that you find that people want to talk to you about almost as much as you're playing?
The young kids, it's interesting. You say, or somebody says, "Oh, Craig Johnson, 5 league champs." As kids go, "Yeah, whatever." Liverpool, yeah, whatever. And they say, "He invented the Predator." What? The Predator? How do you invent that? It's interesting because we were just at the launch of the 30-year anniversary of the Predator. It's on Apple TV, apparently. And Zidane is talking about it like it was his best friend and it made him as good as he is. Beckham, same thing. Stevie Gerrard's in the documentary. And it tells my story about the interest. What the story doesn't tell you is about the Middlesbrough car park. Because that whole philosophy, what part of foot on what part of ball to what effect, that's why the Predator was made. And that's why I did it with such knowledge and conviction and confidence, because I knew it worked. I knew it worked because I'd spent hours, what part of foot, what part of ball, and why does it end up where? So when Zizou and others are talking about why it was special to them, is because leather just didn't deliver those properties. You see, so I moved, when I moved away from Germany, I moved to Ireland. A couple of reasons, one being tax.
You like the Guinness?
I love the Guinness, mate. I love the Guinness, but you were being taxed here at 80%. Margaret Thatcher at the time. Long story short, the Irish. So here's the plan. So I moved to Ireland because my income was derived from royalties from the Predator. So I paid 0% tax if I lived in Ireland. So that's why I brought the family. I lived in Ireland. Anyway, and it was a wonderful time.
Yeah,
I know your Irish
great
connection.
place.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So when I then moved in, there was a big story in The Guardian about me, and I'm going to give you the Barbie stopper, which sort of brings this whole podcast into a relevant sort of sentence, because I know you said I have to hurry up with the stories because we're late.
I never
So
said
anyway,
that.
yes, you did. Anyway, I'll tell you what it is. So the guy sat me down in one of the pubs in Ireland, gave me a pint of Guinness, said, right, the big question. Everybody wants to know how an ex-soccer player, a Liverpool player, won all these medals, becomes an inventor. And I said, well, that's your big mistake. I said, I was an inventor that became a soccer player. And that's why the Predator was then invented on the back of the Middlesbrough car park, because all I wanted to do was be a footballer like the other kids. And I didn't have that skill, but I wanted it, and I figured out how to get it.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
It's
Great shout.
I mean, on behalf of
Great shout.
everybody who's watching and the lads here, but from 15 years of age in that car park and being technically homeless, at least for a short space of time, to end up, it's mind-blowing. Like, that journey is mind-blowing. So there was definitely something here and something here that got you through that. Fair play.
It's still there. It's
Yeah,
still
no,
there.
I know.
A lot
but
of people
it's
don't know
like-
this piece. A lot of people don't know this.
In hindsight, we can laugh about it and you can say what you just said. But when you were at 15 years on that car park in Middlesbrough, you didn't think of a Predator. Now it all makes sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what a journey.
All
Fair
I
play
thought-
to you.
I-
And he
all I
got,
thought
he
of
got
was-
predated by the Predators of Adidas. They predated him. Anyway, that's another story.
That's the Germans
Yeah.
for you.
Awesome.
That's why I live in Liverpool.
The other thing people don't know, and I was intrigued when I played for Liverpool about this. Do you know when you go into hotels and you used to be able to get away, open the fridge door and have a bevy or whatever and get away with it, and then all of a sudden these clips come on the top of them, and then the sensors. He done that.
Yep.
Right or wrong?
Yeah, the butler.
The butler. That was Craig's idea. How good's
So
that?
inventors can bring great things and great evils into this world
Absolutely.
at the same time.
Well, no, all you have to do is stop stealing from minibars. Hello. You Scousers.
We do Scousers.
Great.
Yeah, brilliant.
Wow.
Good on you.
Right, mate.
Wow.
I'm going to finish off because I know you're in the rush. It's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
No peeking now on
We do.
all those notes.
We actually do. Do you know we talked about European Cups before and the fact that how much we loved seeing Liverpool?
Yeah.
There's 6 questions for you.
Uh-huh.
And it's because we won fucking 6. Not like Pep Guardiola was going like that. Well, we won 6 European Cups when they've only won 1 and the others have won 2 or 3. But we won 6. Anyway, so 6 questions on... I'm going to let Peter do this for you.
Gosh.
And who's
All the pressure.
Lucas, is Lucas winning? Lucas Labour got...
I thought...
Alan Kennedy done well.
Yeah,
didn't he?
and Kennedy did remarkably
Yeah.
well,
That
considering...
was
Just so you know, I'm really bad at football quizzes. So
yeah,
No, it's
well,
about you, though.
let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll find out. So,
I've got one for you very quickly. Name me 2 Aussies that scored in the FA Cup final. 2 Aussies that have scored in an
Yeah.
FA Cup final. Who?
Leon Osman.
Yeah.
Me? Yes, I'm one.
Leon Osman.
No.
Hold on a minute. Tim Cahill, no, he didn't.
No.
Viduka?
No. I'll tell you. You never get it.
Tony the Tiger.
No. Me and Aussie Ardiles.
Oh.
Carry on, ask your question.
That's a good one for other people to have.
Only one other... that's a very similar. Let's see if you know this. Only one other Craig has played for Liverpool. Can you name him?
That's easy, mate.
I know.
Someone such as a genius like you, that's a piece of piss.
He was a young lad.
Well, he's not that young.
Well, he's got quite a
It's
senior
not too
job
long
in
ago.
a national team now.
Yeah.
He's a national team coach now.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you
Craig?
which one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Craig, yeah.
His first name's Craig.
Is that a no?
Huh?
Is that a you don't know?
No,
Shall
I
we
don't
go
know.
on?
I don't
Okay.
know.
Craig Bellamy.
Oh, my
He's
God.
Welsh,
Of course he is.
yeah? So, okay.
Sorry.
No
Doesn't
problem.
matter. No problem. That's okay.
I got
It can only get
Okay.
better.
Okay, I got it now. Got it now. Yeah.
You first came up against the Reds when visiting Anfield with Middlesbrough in December 79. The game ended 4-0 victory for LFC. Which former Liverpool player lined up alongside you with Middlesbrough that day?
Soonish.
I mean, I guess that is Was he in
That's
the
an
squad?
oversight if he
Then
did.
that's
Because they got
true.
David Hodgson here.
But we got David
Hodgson,
Johnston here.
yeah.
Okay, we give you. Let's
Yeah.
see where we are at the end.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Which two players also made their LFC debuts in the same game as you when LFC were beaten 1-0 away to Wolves in 81?
Yeah.
Good question. I told you I'm no good at sports quizzes. I don't know. And when you say it, I'll go, yeah, of course, but I don't know. See, my brain doesn't work that way.
Yes.
One of them is someone you like very much, who we spoke about at length earlier. And the other
So
one.
we played at Wolves, made our debut on the same day.
Yeah, they made the debut the same day as you.
It's got a very Australian name.
Bruce?
Yes.
Oh, good hint. Yeah, I was going to say Sheila. Bruce
And
and,
the second
Sheila.
one. And the second
Skip
one.
me the bush kangaroo.
It's half a point. It's half a point for Chris. Half a point.
Bruce and,
Question number 4.
hang on then.
Okay.
You do the one,
Yeah,
a defender.
Not Stevie Nicholas.
Ex-pundit.
Ex what?
Pundit. He's been doing a lot of TV work here in the UK.
Fucking hell, okay. How many more fucking clues you want?
Oh, Gary Ablett? No?
Now, Mark Lawrenson.
All right. Listen, what you...
I've got the Predator.
No, it's okay, no problem.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I have. As I said, my brain doesn't work like that.
I love it,
And
though.
those memories,
this is a good one.
is
This is a
not
good
top
one.
of mind. Yeah,
This
do
one.
it. Do it.
I'm not giving you the clue before I ask the question, but I've got a clue. Which player did Liverpool pay a higher transfer fee for? John Aldridge or Craig Johnston?
Again, I was there for both of them. And
You
It's a
650.
50-50 chance.
I know,
at
I was
the end of the day, so.
650, and you'd only mention it if you were higher. So I'm going to say John Aldridge. Yeah? Hello, see?
solves the problem.
gets
No,
you there.
but to be fair, I was 750, but you were a few years.
It's
Yours
close.
is probably more valuable than me because
Yeah, with inflation, that's probably
That's
one of
what
the...
I was thinking.
I
He
agree.
wouldn't have mentioned it. If he was like 400,000, the question wouldn't be in there. But no, honestly, I told you about quizzes. When I left here, right, at 27, my sister got in a dreadful way. I tried to forget about football because to remember it only sort of brought back, tearful memories. So that kind of stuff has just passed me by.
you've got no chance on this fucking one, then, by the way.
Go for it.
So you provided Aldo with 2 assists during there you go at LFC. But did Aldo ever provide you with an assist?
At that expensive amount of money, you should have. You know when he headbutted me in Munich once at a beer killer? Remember that? You remember that?
Did he?
We
No,
had
it's only head to head.
we had a hit.
Or like you tried to
We had-
kiss
we had
him
the-
and it
we
went
had the
wrong, or
button
what?
competition.
We were stupid and young and dumb and expensive, and we had a headbutting competition in Munich on the beer.
And
Yeah,
who won
yeah.
that competition?
I wish social media
Yeah,
had been around back
It's
then.
Aldo's special
the
move. that.
question again: did you ever set
Did
up
you-
a goal for me?
Yeah. No, the other way. Did you set one up for Aldo?
Did I set one
No,
up for you? Yeah.
he-
Sorry, the
Aldo
other
set
way.
one for
Yeah.
Well, he must have. Otherwise, you wouldn't. It's just logic.
It's
So
the
the answer is yes.
Good. Fine. And it was.
So where was it at?
Well, that would have been
White
nice
Hart
if you
Lane.
had known, but
White Hart Lane. Okay.
Do you remember when I got the ball and I knew you and I just flicked it back to you and you come and smashed it in?
That's my
Great
boy.
goal, mate.
Sour grapes gang. Payback time. Payback
Okay,
So
time.
you're
last
doing
but
all
not
right,
least-
Craig. You're doing all right, mate.
Yeah.
Last one.
I mean, as long as you beat Steve Nicol, right? In terms of points, I think
Nick-
you need to actually
Nico came
know
here,
this.
and you know
Yes.
him, like we started on the beer and
Yeah.
we had a couple of pints because it was
Yeah.
late later on.
Yeah.
He was bollocks.
Was he?
And that's when he left here, and then we
What a
went
good
to
lad.
his office at the
he's
Bern staff.
brilliant.
What a
He's
good lad, by the
absolutely
way. What a good
He's
lad.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Look,
So your final LFC appearance came in '88 FA Cup final when you came on to replace Aldo in the 64th minute.
Against Wimbledon.
Can you name Liverpool's other substitute at Wembley that day?
No.
no, you can if you think.
Okay.
He's also a foreigner. Come on, he's also
Doesn't sound it though.
No.
when he speaks.
Smith.
No, not his name. His accent.
Is it like yours?
Yes,
No, it's
that's
more like
Scouse,
mine.
right?
It's a fake German.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
more like mine.
So he sounds more like Aldo, but
Yeah.
he's one of the small foreign
You know.
group you had.
And Mobby.
Yes! Saved
well
it.
Done, mate. Well done,
Great.
lad. So that's good.
Quality.
Four out of 6.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
Clues,
well,
right? What do you
I'll
give
take
it
that.
for?
Listen, we're late for my show.
Yeah.
Look, the bouncers are over there. Are you coming? Come on, Aldo.
I can't.
Sound
mate.
as a pound.
I wish I could. I really wish I
All
could.
right,
I wish I
all
could.
right. I'm going to leave. Hurry up.
It's been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, mate. I really mean it. I'll see you at the
Good on
game
you.
tomorrow, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Craig, great to have you on.
Yeah, and Paul, great to have you, man.
Thank
mate,
you
man.
so much.
You've done it.
Grateful
You've
to make my
deputised
debut.
very, very well indeed, pal.
Yeah, JP will return for anyone who didn't enjoy it. Yeah.
Might be sad. So yeah, that's the end of the show. Brilliant. I've enjoyed every minute. It's a little bit like science class sometimes, but Craig's top man. So thank you for listening on behalf of Hotel Anfield. Peter, Paul, Craig and myself. See you next time.
See you soon.